I think a lot of people approach habits the way that I used to, which is, if you try hard enough, anything is possible. It's sort of, this thing that we teach kids, if you want something bad enough, it'll happen. But it leaves out like 99% of what actually is required to achieve that goal, which is towards it. We're often told to focus on our goals as if, just putting up a picture of our dream vision board will make it materialize in front of us. But we're not told how to work towards our goals. And then we get dismayed when we try and fail. So, the narrative that society pushes us is if you fail, you must not have wanted it enough. That somehow passion is directly correlated to willpower. And yeah, willpower doesn't work. Awesome, perfect example. But yeah, I believe, you can have drive, you can have passion, you can have grit or whatever, but there's not some magical pool of energy called willpower inside of us that we can expend to do things that are hard. We're biological creatures. We're governed by the contract that we signed when we put on these meat suits. And one of those bylaws is that our brains and our bodies require energy to exert effort. And the more often that we take on that effort, the easier and less energy that effort requires in the future. The point being, discipline is not some spiritual quality that you can use to will yourself to do things. It's a muscle that you have to exercise. You can't will yourself to some impossible standard, no matter how much you really want it. It's not about passion, it's about practice. And the more you practice, the better you'll be at it. But what's really the root here? Why do we want to practice these skills or develop these habits or whatever? I would argue that everyone here, myself included, wants to have these better habits because they want to be a better person. It's not particularly insightful. Of course, you want to be better. If you don't, you'd either be a lazy piece of shit with no desire to change, or you'd be an egotistical narcissist that thinks it couldn't possibly be better. But I think that there's a problem with that thinking, and it's important to address it now because I believe it's the root of why so many of us have trouble sticking to habits. And it's about shoulds. I think shoulds are our enemy. Shoulds are, whenever you say, I should eat healthier, or I should wake up at 6:30, or whatever you want that translates to some habit that you're trying to form or habit that you're trying to break. It's because you believe that the perfect or the better you would do that thing. So if you want to be that version, the good version of me would eat a salad instead of a burger at lunch or whatever, then I should do that. The obvious flip side of that, though, is when you inevitably don't do that thing, you've built into this narrative, the narrative that you've built into your mind is, oh, well, that must mean that I'm the bad version. You feel shame. And you shouldn't, because nobody's perfect. You inevitably are going to not do the thing that you want to do because you're human. But that's not what the story that you've told yourself is. And so you get demotivated. You feel like you're not good enough, and so that demotivation turns into further inaction or bad habits, and that makes you feel more ashamed. And then here we are in the whirlpool shit pit of everything is terrible and so am I, or the whirlpool shit pit of feeling awful and not doing anything. I know we've all been there. It's a terrible place, and it's hard to crawl out of. But as impossible as it may seem, I'm here to tell you, you are already enough. You don't need to read every day or budget better or lose 20 pounds to be a human being that is worthy of love. You don't need to change anything to be the perfect you. And I know this seems a little contradictory, a little double thinky, but hear me out. It's possible to love and accept and celebrate who you are in this moment while also honoring your potential for more. I know, and I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to y'all. I know how hard it is to believe that this you is just as deserving of happiness as the you want to be. But loving yourself as you are now is one of the most important steps in building better habits, because that baseline will protect you from that whirlpool shit pit of self-deprecation whenever you inevitably falter or fail at your habit. More than that, loving yourself as you are now is fuel for sticking to your habits, because don't you want the best for those you love? If you could do a little something every day that would help your partner or your parent or your child be happier and healthier than they are now, wouldn't you do that thing? So do the things today that will make you happier in the future, because that's what you do for the people you care about.